grab a seat. We're gonna start without Ryan because he's on his way, but he'll be here for sure. Okay. Oh yeah, no problem. Okay. So yeah.
Yeah, it feels like that's like a Ubin meeting.
Okay, everyone, if you can't, just grab a seat anywhere. Sorry, we don't have proper seats, but it's very casual. Sit on the floor. If you need someone, there's one seat right here that no one's taken. It's an awkward angle, but yes, feel free to make yourself feel comfortable. Thank you, and welcome to Wow Conversations. So, what is Wow Conversations? It is a series of casual conversations that we have with people who are experts in the field of like conservation, sustainability, and what have you not, to hear about their experiences, how they got there. Not scientific in any particular fashion, but of course, if you like to ask some scientific questions, please go ahead. We'd like to thank our team of photographers and videographers, Wei Yang, Clarice, Jim. Yeah, say hi everyone. So thanks so much. If you don't want to be on social media, please let them know. Otherwise, please tag us at _wildspace. So this conversation series is free to attend, but we typically request for our speakers to nominate a conservation organization to kind of give them a shout out. And to contribute funds towards. Our speakers have chosen Singapore Wildcat Action Group. So SWAG, in short, raises awareness of Malayan tiger conservation and also of the mainland leopard cat in Singapore. So do contribute generously. And of course, if you've enjoyed this and want to keep this conversation going on for free, please also make a generous donation to us. Those who have donated, please, thank you so much. So you can kind of like pass this around. Thank you. Okay, so I'll start with the introduction of our speakers today. I think most of you would have heard of them and they don't need any introduction, but I will still introduce you guys. We do have Adrian and Ryan who's on his way here. We do have Adrian who's right here with us, and Adrian is, woohoo! Adrian is currently the Associate Professor with the NUS Center for Nature-Based Climate Solutions. Wow, it's a mouthful. NUSC NCS. He's also the champion for the fight against the illegal wildlife trade and a mentor and the mentor for the CITES Global Youth Network. I think some of you are from CGY. Woo! He is also on the panel of judges for the Inspire and Empower Humanity to achieve breakthrough solutions that accelerate an abundant and equitable future for all. And of course, if we would like to find out more about the X Prize, Adrian will tell us more about it. Ryan, I'll just give an introduction about Ryan, although he's not here yet. Ryan is a naturalist and a professional photographer. He's photographed the likes of political figures such as Barack Obama, football legend Didier Drogba, and actress Fan Bingbing. He's also completed projects for National Geographic and BBC and has been using his photography as a means to support conservation efforts. So he'll share more about the conservation organization that he supported in the Amazon. So before I start, I'd like to find out more about what you guys know about our topic for today. So it's a quiz, right? And then the winner, those that can give me a right answer, can claim a beer from me later on at Cult Yard. So, okay, let's go. Hello, because the stakes are high for me, so you must get the answer right. Okay, question 1. How many countries does the Amazon rainforest span? So this one has 2 parts, right? Because you must name how many countries, cannot Google. And, and you must be able to name which countries. So, okay, sorry, no MCQ, just give it a shout.
4.
Who said 4? Okay, 4. I'll take 3 answers in total. 4? No one else? 6. Yeah. And? Huh? Who said what? 342. Okay. If you said 4, which are the 4? And if you said 6, which are the 6? You didn't say 6. Brazil? Brazil what? Sorry? Bolivia? Paraguay?
I don't know, I'm guessing now.
Yeah.
Can I add 3 more?
Okay. Peru, yeah. Ecuador, Colombia, yeah. So every single country. So there are 9 countries in total. So Brazil,
Wow.
Bolivia, Peru, Ecuador, Colombia, Venezuela, Guyana, Suriname, and French Guiana. So yeah, it's a tough one. So I keep my beers. A close estimate? No.
Round up a little bit.
Yeah. He named none. Okay, so it covers 40% of South America. So the Amazon rainforest actually covers 40% of South America. It contains 1.4 billion acres of dense forest, which is half of the planet's remaining tropical forests, and 41,000 miles of winding rivers. So this is how massive this patch is. Okay, question 2. Why is the Amazon rainforest important to us? Because it supports 30 million people, including 350 indigenous and ethnic groups. The rainforest contains 90 to 140 billion metric tons of carbon, right? So 90 to 140 billion metric tons of carbon, that's a lot. And it obviously helps to stabilize the local and global climate. Okay, so this is where the question is. The Amazon pumps up to X tons per year into the atmosphere, right? Because it's such a good system. It pumps X tons of water per year into the Amazon, and its forest recycle between 50 to 75% of annual rainfall back into the atmosphere. So it really does control the global climate quite critically, right? So that's why it is important for us to know and protect this pristine environment. So X tons of water per year. Okay, this one is like, I'll give you multiple choice. So fastest first, huh? A, 700 million. B, 70 billion. C, 7 trillion. Okay, A, raise your hands. Wow, nobody. B. Okay, I saw Rosie's hands first. Okay. C, 7 trillion. Oh, okay. So, yeah, so it is, you're right, Trump's era, everything has to be trillion. So it is 7 trillion tons of water per year. So that is really a lot of water. And this is the amount of water that comes that gets pumped back in. So yes, you can claim a beer from me later. Fastest hands first, okay? Okay, last question, no more beers already. Okay, the rainforest has thick canopies, and many parts of the forest actually have an almost black forest floor because it's so thick, right? The canopies are so thick when it rains, it can take as long as X amount of time for the rain to reach the forest floor. Okay, so there are three answers as well. A, 1 minute. B, 10 minutes. C, 20 minutes. So A, B, and C. So I'm going to say A, 1 minute, raise your hands. A, 1 minute. Well, nobody. So conservative. B, 10 minutes. Okay, B, 10 minutes. C, 20 minutes. Wow, okay, I saw Lila's hand go up first. You are right, it is 10 minutes. Wow. So it takes 10 minutes. You can claim a beer from me later. So yeah, so the rainfall, it actually takes 10 minutes, almost 10 minutes for it to reach the forest floor. So actually, wow, it's really thick if you think about it, right? So that's quite incredible. So yeah, that's all the questions that I have for you today, and we will dive straight into the questions that we have for Adrian. Well, this entire session is super casual, so I'm going to open it up to the floor for questions at any point in time, so you don't have to wait till like the slide is finished or anything. You can just jump in. You have a question, raise your hands and speak up. I think what we'll start first is at least for me, I think what I'll start first is, can you tell us more about the X Prize and what it is and what's this initiative about? Yeah.
So the X Prize, it's
Do you have slides?
Oh. Yeah, actually.
Oh, okay.
Should I go through the slides?
Yeah, if you want, yeah. We can, I can just put it on, then you tell me what you want. Yeah. Okay.
So am I going to use all the slides? Or?
Huh? No, up to you.
Yeah, I prefer the
Oh,
pictures.
can. Yeah.
I don't know whether you can see, but there are slides there.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to bring this back.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, make bigger.
Yeah.
Can. Okay. Yeah. Oh. Can? Oh, sorry, a bit skewed. No, but okay.
Yeah,
Better?
so the X Prize is an American organization, it's an NGO. There are a lot of scientists there, multinational scientists and experts, and they have a lot of competitions, global competitions. So this particular one is X Prize Rainforest. They have an upcoming competition called X Prize Wildfire, and they also have a competition, X Prize Feed the Millions, Feed the Billions. So this particular X Prize Rainforest, right, is a $10 million prize for global groups, right, teams to come together and try to study a patch of rainforest. And when I say a patch, right, it's about 100 hectares in a 24-hour period using technology. So they use drones, they use a lot of sensors. Of course, they use AI and all that stuff, and they use eDNA. Later on, I'll show you some of the stuff that they do. And so there were a lot of teams that actually wrote up proposals, and then they submitted, and there were 16 that were shortlisted. And these 16 that were shortlisted came to Singapore for the semi-finals. Next slide.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was in the national parks then, and so there were some talks about X Prize coming, and that was just after COVID, and they were planning to come to Singapore to plan this X Prize competition. And because of COVID, everyone's very excited. And this is the guy there you see is Peter. Peter is the executive vice president, and Kevin Merritt is the technical lead. So he deals with all the drone stuff and all that. So 16 teams, right? They could be from the university or different universities coming to form a team, or some technical company, or even indigenous peoples. They will come together and they will form a team, and then they will vie for the prize. So 16 of them made it to Singapore. It was quite weird because some people were wondering, was there any forest in Singapore? Is there any forest in Singapore? We get that question a lot, no? Like even my friends in Malaysia will ask hey, is there a forest in Singapore? Then we bring them to Bukit Timah, we bring them our central catchment, and they were like, wow. So the reason why they chose X Prize, right, was because of interestingly the city in nature vision. So they really like this vision of city in nature. Cities are like a global phenomenon now, right? The whole world has a lot of cities, and how do you balance that development with greenery, sustainability and all that stuff? So they were quite taken by the city in nature vision. And also they stayed at the Park Royal. So it was a very nice green place, and I brought them to Gardens by the Bay. I worked there for 2 years actually in Gardens by the Bay, and then they were really very impressed with the fact that botanic gardens like Gardens by the Bay was bringing in a lot of tourists. Hi Ryan.
Sorry.
Our next speaker is here.
Yeah.
So sorry, I'm so sorry.
It's all right.
Fear on you.
Yeah.
Yeah, ring the bell.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. My bad. Hey, brother. Sorry, boss.
No problem.
Sorry, man.
Okay.
Sit.
Sit down, settle.
Relax.
Beers on you, man.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, next.
Tequila too.
Yeah,
Just
next.
now I just auction off beers on you.
Okay.
You didn't know.
His wife is here.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Yarim. So I threatened that she would give the talk and
Yeah.
tell him.
She'll probably do that better
Yeah.
than me.
Okay, next.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, so when they came over, and this you see that they're wearing their masks and all that, right? So when they came over, I told them, do you want to see any otters? Then they were like, huh, really? Then I know where the otters are because I was the chair of the otter working group at some point in time. And I just texted my friends and I said, hey, where are the otters right now? Then they gave me a live location. Then we went to this Kallang River, and then there were the otters there. And they were looking at it, they were like, oh my god, there are otters, in a city canal, right? Then yeah, and they just witnessed a very epic battle, between this group of otters, right? And they were just really sort of fighting with a python, a huge python, You know, they're very territorial, right?
the-
And you know, otters are very strange. You know, they'll fight a crocodile at Sungai Buloh. So you know, they're not frightened. You know, they're so territorial. They'll do that. Yeah. So they also witnessed that. Next. One of the good things is that Singapore came out of COVID very fast. We were like the first off the blocks, right? We wanted to be first off the blocks, and we had this green lane so they could come over as well. So yeah, they met our minister, and we had many meetings with them. Yeah, and then we were flying some drones, getting pictures of the forest for them to assess and see whether this was suitable or not. Yeah, next slide. And so they wasted no time, you know, looking at our forest and realized that, wow, this is quite amazing. And the reason why they wanted the semi-finals here is because the semi-finals was a stepping stone, right, to a real competition in a very remote area, which was the Amazon. But before I go there, right, next slide, they engaged the youths and all that. Okay, this was a really very interesting thing. There were really moments when we thought we wouldn't be able to pull this off, the competition in Singapore, for the very reason that our skies are really like super busy, you know. You have your Air Force training, right? And then you have like CAS and your commercial flights, you know, from Seletar and all that stuff. So really kudos to the Air Force and CAS. We managed to find a time in June some more. And June, right, is the time when the Air Force actually trains a lot. Because that's when the school holidays are, and they don't want to disturb the students. You know, we got to know about these type of things, and then they could actually create spaces, you know, for like, okay, these teams, right, these 16 teams that come, this is when they can actually do the flights, because it was very drone heavy. This technology is very drone heavy. Yeah. So yeah, it was because of National Day that, you know, like there's a lot of training in June, but we managed to find that time. RSAF managed to find that time. Yeah, so we announced the competition. We you know, the opening ceremony was here. Our minister gave the opening ceremony. Next slide. And there they are in Singapore. You can tell that it's in Singapore because there's this signage, right, that says "Do not do this, do not do that." You'll be fined, like. Yeah, actually, right. Actually, it's not a Singapore team. You know why we have those type of signs, right? I didn't know, no. So before I joined NParks, right, I was like, wow, this is so ugly, you know. Like I go to, then it feels like, I want to come here and enjoy myself. You tell me you'll find me, you know. But actually, right, it's really to protect the nature reserve, because someone who does a stupid thing in the nature, like cut down a tree and all that, right, he can say that, oh, I didn't know, you know, this is a protected area. So actually, really for legislative thief, enforcement thief. So I'm just explaining on behalf of NParks. Yeah. Next. Yeah. So this was the nascent kind of technology. There's drones flying above. You can see that little pipe there is actually to get water. And now, right, even when you get water, right, and you look at the DNA, right, there's this thing called eDNA, environmental DNA. It's a very powerful tool. You can actually detect mammals inside the water as well, you know. So like sometimes you can detect as much as 100 really vertebrate species as well. So it's really powerful. Of course, you can get bacteria and all that stuff. So it's amazing. You can actually monitor the health of a water system. Yeah, and sometimes you can use it to swab the surface of leaves. And so in the Amazon itself, I witnessed how they use eDNA to actually see that there were sloths, you know, roosting in the trees. There was a panther DNA in the water itself, in the Igapu. Yeah, next slide. So they tried various technology. This was a very funny technology because it was like this vehicle, right? People are wondering like, how are you going to like use this vehicle to go through the forest? And then it has this funny thing that just collects air samples, you know. So they had stuff like that. They also had a robo dog and all that, but they all tripped and fell inside the rainforest. So this is Kirk rescued. He looks like a trucker. He's this long-haired guy, and then he's rescuing the truck there. So the teams are not supposed to go into the forest. So this whole competition is about not going into the forest, but really, you know, characterizing that forest using drones. It's very powerful now. The drones have LiDAR technology. So LiDAR technology, right, basically shoots lasers, millions of lasers, right? You have it even in your iPad. If I take out my iPad now, I can do that. And then suddenly I get a 3D information about this whole room and a digital twin of the crowd here. And that can be quantified, you see. It's a very powerful scientific tool. but I won't go into that. Then next slide. So then, so that was the semi-finals in Singapore. Then, because I was in the semi-finals, they got me as a judge then to go to the Amazon. So that was my ticket to the Amazon. So that was a wonderful thing. And this is me trying to tell my wife where I am. On Find My, where are you? And we have this satellite link, right? This internet is care of Starlink. So this is Brazil, right? And then there's the Rio Negro. There's the Black River. There's a White River as well. The reason why it was done at the Black River is because there's fewer biting insects, because it's full of tannins, you know. So there's fewer biting insects. That's interesting facts, right? And then that Rio Negro, right, is just shy of the width of Singapore, you know. Yeah, amazing, right? Yeah, but I was in a tributary, right, a small tributary in the Rio Negro, and in this village called Tumbira. Yeah, so the scale of that was like crazy, you know, because to get there, right, we just like went through this like big, almost felt like an ocean, but it was actually the Rio Negro. It's just a river, you know, freshwater river, and then you know occasionally, I wouldn't say I saw dolphins jumping here and there. I don't have that kind of like aura, you know. But my friend, right, this Costa Rican lady, right, she was like, oh, dolphin, dolphin, dolphin. Like this Singaporean, right, urbanized, right, like I saw only like 2 or 3, you know, dolphins breaching the surface. So, but that was very nice, lah. Yeah. Next slide. Yeah. So these were the judges. As you can see, there's diversity there. I made very good friends with some of them. All of them mostly, and very good friends with the Brazilian, because wow, one thing I learned about the Brazilian, I don't know whether I'm generalizing, but then they are really very curious about visitors and people. So I felt really very warm there. You know, from like the taxi driver, I knew the taxi driver had divorced once, and then his wife, and had children here and there. Like wow, you know, and it's just that to just going there, you know, blood pressure go down. You don't have to think about stuff. Yeah, next slide. Yeah, and this was one of the sites, and this is the beach, you know. This is the beach, you know, of the Rio. The wet forest is called the Igapo. So this is the beach, sandy beach, and that's where the station was. That's where the teams were stationed. They had to drag their equipment there. They were given like 6 hours to get their equipment there, and then there was the platform for the drones. They sometimes have a platform, sometimes they don't. Yeah, so across there was that forest site, 100 hectares, and they had to characterize that forest within 24 hours. They fly their drones, they put their sensors, and then they will fly back, and then for 48 hours they'll go to the village, they'll extract the DNA, do the eDNA. For 48 hours they'll go to the village, they'll extract the DNA, do the eDNA sequencing, you know, and then do all the analysis and all that, and then come out with a report. Yeah. They had probably pre-written the report, you know, and then just put in the numbers, right? Because I remember like, oh my God, there's a 300-page report, and then like times 10. Yeah, and then we were supposed to read it. Yeah. Next slide. Yeah. Is it stuck?
Yes, it's
Oh,
stuck.
no.
Is it a video?
No, it's not. Just go on. There's no video. Just.
Oh, but I don't know why.
Just press escape. Oh, there's a sound.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's it was this.
Yeah, let's go there. Yeah. So just a glimpse into the technology. So the one on the left is like a makeshift fuel station, and then what you see here, right, is actually a platform, right? Images taken from a platform that was put in a canopy. Yeah. So maybe we can stop that video first. Yeah, I just wanted to show you that platform. Okay, so if you look, so they have these canopy rafts, and a team would have maybe 10 of them, and they would just put it on the canopy. And they had learned from the Singapore experience how to build a canopy, a raft. It's like the size of a small little table, maybe that table, lighter, made of carbon fiber, and it would gently just go onto the canopy top. And there will be things like bioacoustics, microphones, and there was this interesting visualizer. It was just a white platform with a very high resolution camera, and it was taking images of insects. So this they time-lapsed it, taking images of insects, right? And they were using AI to actually identify the insects. It's not as straightforward. AI doesn't do anything. They needed a human in the loop to actually understand and help the machine learning. But that was really a very quick way of like assessing a forest. And why do we need that speed? Not every forest in Southeast Asia or the Amazon or the tropics, right, is very well studied. It's very understudied, and the canopy is a very understudied kind of biome. Yeah. There are water pumps there, and the bioacoustics, sort of like you put the bioacoustics there, right, you can actually hear what kind of birds, what time they are active, and if you put it carefully, you can actually get direction of flight as well, and how many birds there are. So these really are like biodiversity insights that you get, in the forest using this type of technology.
So did they develop the technology so it's completely new? I mean, bioacoustics is
Yeah, it's
technically not new, right?
Yeah.
So
I wouldn't say there are really new kind of sensors there. One of the sensors that was really very interesting was this very strong, very powerful microphone that they flew over 100 hectares. So the drones, right, could be automated, and it flew 100 hectares and it did its sampling.
okay, cool.
Just like they just had to press the button. Yeah. So I mean, like the jury is out there, right? Technology, or do you want a human to do it, right? If you get a human to do it, right, take ages, take 10, and you won't get funding. Yeah, and then
Probably not.
by the time, right, the forest is being cleared already. So so there is a trade-off. Yeah, I just embrace this, Yeah.
Also, it's much more expensive. Like if you look at the canopy walkway in Brunei,
Yeah.
when they were doing the research, so it takes millions of dollars just to build one walkway, and then you're only limited to that corridor, right, through the canopy.
Yep. Yeah. So yeah, this type of corridors as well. But if you have a drone, right, you can actually go. I'll show you some images there. Yeah, one of the interesting thing was like sometimes I would volunteer for night tours to observe the teams and then to grade them. And the best time to go into the forest is actually at night. But then the reason why we don't do it in Singapore is because like you disturb nocturnal animals. So, but the night time is when the forest comes alive. Yeah. So this is the base camp, and we are always with armed guards because there's a lot of stuff going on in the Amazon. Illegal logging especially. So very interestingly, on one of our boat rides, we saw a drone. Like, then my friend, he's really good. He said like, hey, this is not our drone. Yeah, and actually it's a drone belonging to the illegal loggers. Yeah. And I was asking the police like, hey, how come you all don't have drones? Then he said, oh, funding is just not there. Yeah, it's like, oh. Yeah. Okay, then just one of the users of this technology, you have a thermal imaging system on the drone, basically a thermal camera. And this team was showing me, right, how they actually studied roosts of squirrel monkeys on the left and a three-toed sloth on the right. Yeah, I'm sorry you all can't see this. I'm happy to share it in some ways. But you get the idea, right? I mean, just let it run for a while. Yeah, so the one on the left is a squirrel monkey. That's why it's interesting, right? You have a drone, it's pretty silent. You can just, zoom in and you will see where the monkeys are roosting and where the sloth is as well. Conservation implications, very interesting, right? You can say that, hey, this is the distribution range and the habitats of these animals, arboreal animals, which you probably never knew before. And how do you do this, like with just by manpower, right? It's a bit tougher to really understand that. But if you fly a drone and then you see this white spot there, you can actually go down and figure out what's happening there. Yeah, next. Yeah.
There's a spike also.
So this is the canopy raft. Yeah. And this canopy raft with that little black box, right, actually traps insects. Yeah. And then the insects come. And it was quite amazing, right? Because like on the day, right, where there was more moonlight, right, you get less insects trapped. Oh, the insects are really sensitive, to light, So ambient light, right, like city lights, right, and all that actually like really messes up the kind of behavior of insects and mammals and birds. So over there, when you go to the base camp, right, and then because we dim the lights and all that, you see stars, all the time. And then if you do a extended what do you call that, exposure, right? I mean, you can see the Milky Way, basically. Yeah.
Amazing.
Excellent. Yeah. So I'm just like showing how vast this forest is. And one of the takeaways was like, oh my God, if this forest goes, right, there goes the lung of the world, you know. You know, like for us, right, Singapore, right, so I was in the national parks before, and during COVID, right, and when parks were still open, right, people flock, right, not to the parks, you know, they flock to forested areas, you know. Yeah, that was a real interesting observation. Like, why? Why did they not go to Bishan Park? You know, like fewer of them. Like, why did they have to go to, like, you know,
MacRitchie?
MacRitchie or, you know, Thompson Nature Park? Is it because of the trees? Is it the otherworldly kind of feeling? You know, we don't know, but I think, you know, the forest really has something to offer us, some respite, and at a very deep level, yeah. Are we stuck again?
Yeah, another video.
Okay. Yeah, so you know, so the competition was very interesting. It involved ethnic groups as well. Some of the local communities, one of the teams actually won a $250,000 prize because they had the ability to and the wisdom of the ethnic groups there, the local communities, and use their knowledge, right, to inform the kind of science that they were doing. And they also had a very interesting payment system to the local communities, you know, and it was on using a handphone. So the like involving the local communities in gathering data, even like recording bird sounds and identifying the sounds and giving a name to that sound, right? And if they locked in a certain number of hours, they would be paid. So this group that demonstrated that, right, probably paved the way for like how in future, right, when we do funding for developing countries, you know, with forests and all that, how do we, you know, benefit the livelihoods of the local communities? Very important, yeah, because like very often, right, when you talk about carbon credits and all that stuff, right, sometimes the local communities don't get that funding, and that funding just goes to another like a company that's like buttering the carbon credits, you know. So this is a very important movement there. I have to give a shout out to the gentleman on the right and the lady. The lady comes from One Tree Planted, and she's been pushing the conservation of forests for local communities in Palawan. Yeah, so yeah, she should be invited for a talk on it. Okay, next. Yeah. I can't wait for Ryan's talk because he's going to see better pictures. So I'm just going to go into a bit of like the moments I felt that were really key for me in the Amazon. So these are, I think, sulfur butterflies. Yeah. You know, like you see this in Taman Negara. I've seen this in Taman Negara before. I've seen this in forests before. But when you see it, right, it's like, whoa. You know, like, hey, this is what it's all about. You know, we shouldn't lose this type of experience, right? You know, and actually every day on the boat ride, right, along the Rio Negro, there were these butterflies just flying across. And, you know, it's like hundreds, you know. They were just migrating, you know, like, it's like, wow, this is amazing. This is a phenomenon. Yeah. And next slide. This is the, I studied palms. I still study palms, and yeah, and I don't want to start talking about it because then I don't stop. Yeah, yeah. So this is Leopoldinia, and Leopoldinia was one of the few palms that was discovered long time ago. And that little video you see, right, shows it underwater. So this is the flooded forest in Brazil, the Amazon, right? It's called the Igapo. Yeah. And the fruits you see there, right? So because this all this is fresh water, so to get salt, right, the villagers will actually burn this and use the ashes, right, and extract salt from the ashes. Yeah. So they get salt from there. Yeah. Now this is Luis. So he's a Brazilian scientist, and then this is where I got to know how friendly and warm Brazilians are. Because like after a while, right, I mean, this guy would be like waiting for me to go for meals and all that. Like, let's have a meal together. You know, like, so it's very community one, you know. Yeah. Next. This is Mariana. She's one of the ethnic groups in Brazil, the Amazon forest, and this is Bixa, and she was showing me how they you know do ornate paintings on the body, on the hands and all that. And actually, we do grow this. When I was younger, they used to grow this as a park tree as well. Yeah.
Looks like rambutan.
Yeah, it does. Big sa oral. Yeah, these are more palm pictures. The one on the left is acai. You know acai berries? Yeah, so it's native to the Brazil, right? And then on the right is Mauritius, and then on the far right are some black vultures sitting on this palm called Atalaya. And to me, I got very excited because I only saw this in guidebooks, textbooks, and then here I am seeing in the, the kampungs of the Amazon river, like their villages and all that, and they depend on these trees as well. They get fruits, they get fiber, they get and they make beads as well, jewelry from these palms. Yeah. Next. So this is the football field we played in. Yeah. Then as like older people and scientists, right? We were playing with the local people. Then after about the third game, all of us got injured. Yeah. So the vultures were there. Yeah. Yeah, this is the famous walking palm. I don't know whether you have seen it on like social media, the walking palm. It doesn't really walk, but it has these roots, right? And when it's young, if a tree falls on it, right, it still can grow and develop roots, and then it seems like it's walking actually. Yeah. Soccer tree. And this, right, oh my God. So right, part of the injury of that soccer game was my retina coming out. Yeah. So part of my retina got dislodged, And then everything was a blur after a while, And then it sort of stabilized. I got used to it, yeah. But I was in the Amazon for the last few days, right? like with a blur left eye. And then so we were walking in the forest, and then there was these caterpillars, and I heard some mumbling, and they were speaking Portuguese, right? Obviously. Then I was like, oh, it's a patch of moss. Yeah, I almost went to rub it, Yeah, but this is the most venomous caterpillar in the world, And people have known to die from just touching it, yeah. So that was like how you die in the forest. Yeah, next. Yeah. I don't know what I'm showing here. Is it a video?
Oh, yes.
Oh yeah.
So fast.
You're the expert, but in the Amazon, you
Nah.
probably kill yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like I have a story when I was in Tanzania, right? I went to this place. It was I was with the research institute there, and we were just coming out and then going to a hut. Then I was just taking pictures of some plants there, and then I walked away, right? And then I was starting to take pictures of this mongoose, right? And then suddenly, right, an elephant appeared where I was standing, Yeah, and it was a bull, yeah. So that's like how you die in Tanzania. Yeah, how a Singaporean. Yeah, next. Yeah.
Is it a video? Yeah.
Last day, the village hosted a dinner, a barbecue, basically. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, okay, you can stop it. Yeah. So the thing is, right, I was always wondered, in Singapore we don't really dance a lot, right? We don't really express ourselves, we don't move and all that.
Later we dance now.
Yeah. No, but when do you dance? You dance when you're in the uni or when you're in college or whatever, right? When you're younger, and then you go for a party, and then that's where you dance. And then the older people don't dance, but this one, everybody from the baby, not the baby, the toddler, all the way to the grandmother and grandfather, they'll be dancing. I think it's a very nice social kind of activity, lah. Sorry, I'm just going there. Thanks. We announced what next, right? So at X Prize, they were thinking we don't want that technology to just stop there. They want that technology to be able to impact biodiversity conservation. For Southeast Asia, right? We thought about Southeast Asia, then we sort of have a collaboration with them now through NUS to bring this technology through Southeast Asia, where we can share, do technology sharing and knowledge sharing. Not really capacity building, but co-creating, strategies for conservation using technologies. So this was at Baku, the climate COP, and there was a biodiversity day, and then we went there to announce this. And one of the next slide. Yeah, so I'll just run through this. Okay, next slide. Yeah. So we'll be working in Sarawak. We are going to Thailand next year. Yeah. and with Curtin University as well. You have to tell Caroline that, yeah. So I want to end my talk, but with a few more slides. It was a very good experience. I didn't know much about the Amazon, but being there, right, was like just awesome. You know, I think everybody should go there. It's not very inaccessible. If you fly to Manaus, the Amazonian city, right, you can actually easily take a boat and then go along that Rio Negro. And it was weird because like when I was in Manaus, right, I realized that they depended on rubber, and the city actually developed through rubber, you know. And then suddenly, right, the rubber got stolen, right, you know, the seeds, and then like, you know, propagated in Southeast Asia, and then like, wow, you know, after that, right, you know, the city sort of didn't do very well, you know, post I think the disease to the rubber plantations. Yeah, next. Yeah, so after we left, right, 2 weeks after we left, right, there was a very bad drought. And this was a drought they expected, you know, because it happened last year. So then they were saying that, oh, if a drought like that happens again, right, the dolphins will be in trouble. Yeah, so dolphins got stranded. And I think at least a few hundred dolphins, the river dolphins, the pink dolphins died. Yeah, because they get stranded in really small pools, and then with the high temperatures, right, they just can't take it. Yeah.
It's the same dolphins that we find in the Johor Strait.
No. These are these are the pink river dolphins. Yeah.
So up in the river, Johor River and stuff like that, we get the short fin.
Same morphology but different species.
Yeah, that's, I think maybe Tersiops, I don't know. Yeah, but this one is different species altogether. Yeah, in fact, it has like sort of lost its like, you know, dorsal. Yeah. Next. Yeah, so a lot of dolphins died. Next one. And forest fires also. So with the drought, right, comes a lot of forest fires, and these are like mega forest fires, you know. So this is Eduardo Tavera. He's the minister for the Amazonia, and we were like trying to invite him to the climate COP, and he said that, look, I'm too busy fighting fires and helping the villagers, you know, like, let's see whether I can make it or not. But in the end, right, what we did was we hooked him up to a lot of people in the COP, and so he could actually use that platform to talk about the kind of challenges they are facing right now. It's unprecedented, you know. It's like it's been happening, but the El Nino affects it. Climate change also affects it. Yeah. Yeah, and it impacts a lot of local villagers and children as well. So you can imagine, right? I didn't see, right, any vehicle, right, or any wheels, really, for 1 month, you know. And they were dependent on the river. Their life was so dependent on the river. Whatever we ate, the food that we ate, the big fish that we ate is from the river. How they travel is from the river, you know, and all that stuff. So when the river goes down, right, everybody gets into trouble there. Yeah. That's it.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. That was very fascinating, and I'm sure we have many questions for you.
Oh no.
But maybe you know, I think Ryan has some slides to share as well. So let me load.
Oh wow, thanks, Bella.
You want me to load your slides?
Anything.
Yeah.
I have a video, but I don't know if y'all can hear the sound.
Cannot.
Can?
Try. Yeah.
Wanna just try play it from here? Or?
Oh yeah. As in, you want to hook up your.
Yeah.
I think you need to.
No.
Because I think you might have to plug in here. But the thing is, I
Anything?
don't know.
Wanna try?
Yeah, I try.
Well, that's not a mangrove. It's a palm. It's a terrestrial palm. Yeah. It's just forest understory palm. Yeah.
So would the mangroves be similar to what we have here?
Nothing.
No. So there was an ant, right, that got stuck to my
Maybe
shoe.
you can, I don't know, it's
And I tried to,
YWL.
tease it
Should be a
out,
video.
but I accidentally pulled off his body, and his head was left there. Then I realized that, then I was like,
And then there's like
if it hit my
Peru.
skin, I'll just really feel painful, right?
Oh, this one.
And I realized that the local villagers, right, they use it to stitch their cuts, you know, these ants. So they let the ant bite the
Adrian talk very long.
cut, right?
Yeah, I don't
And they
know.
just pull off the body.
I have some other stuff here. Maybe we can
Yeah, you can.
pull it from there later. We'll run okay.
Yeah.
Uses
And
Q&A.
these solutions.
can.
You should have used that on your retina. It will never detach again.
Wanna try?
Okay. You want to play the video first?
Yeah.
This one.
Once again, everyone, I'm so sorry. Sorry. I'm gonna play a video. I don't know if it's gonna work. Hope you all enjoy it.
Okay, I play.
If you want, you can switch on this light as well.
This light. Better? Sorry, this is my remote.
Switch off that light. Thank you, wife. Alright, man, that's about it. Yeah. Yeah. So there's just some video footage that kind of cobbled together from what I shot during my time in the Peruvian Amazon. Adrian was in Brazilian side at the same time. Actually, I don't know. Yeah, we were actually there at the same time. And when we both had Starlink, we were texting each other. It's just like Malaysia, which I believe was a lot of the text exchanges. But yeah, so Adrian was in Brazil and I was in the Peruvian basin, and that is actually like the biological field station where I was staying. It's at the top of a hill, and it's regarded as a cloud forest. Basically, I got sent there because this American-based non-profit organization that organizes field work experience for students in university in order for them to clock their field hours so they can go on to become wildlife vets and all this stuff. So that's footage from the second time that I went, which was this year. But I went there before in 2018, same place. So, yeah, my experience is a bit different, of course, because Adrian is an educator and a professor, and I'm just a photographer. But I have an interest in biodiversity conservation, particularly mammalian terrestrial carnivores, the larger ones. I do quite a lot of work in Southeast Asia, especially in Malaysia. But I'm Singaporean lah. I'm Singaporean born. But yeah, this American organization sent me there twice, and
How did they kind of like hook up with you that ended up, like how did they find, I guess?
I was just a mutual friend, honestly. Like I had a friend, I have a friend, and he's, I think he dated the chick who runs
Sam. Sam's.
back when they were young lah.
Oh.
Back when they were like teenagers studying in Singapore. They're not from Singapore. I think they're both Indian nationals, and I think they have like a history or something. I don't know. Please, you're not
It's
recording this.
live stream.
Oh. What a nightmare. Oh, sorry, Minnie. But I could be getting this all wrong, but I don't care. So anyway, that guy called me because she was like, Keshav, you have to come down. And then,
Exposing everyone's name.
yeah, fuck it. So then, sorry, children, I'm not a scientist or educator, so I swear and I do a lot of bad things. So anyway, so they called me. He called me, and then he's like, I don't want to go, man. Then I'm like, you're crazy. Like, I'll go. They couldn't afford to pay me, of course, but they were like, at the time, they were like, we can cover your flight. So I was like, good enough, because I had plans that involved a lot of wildlife photography and all, and I needed to build my portfolio. So I was like, forget it, man, I'm gonna go. No research, nothing. I had a phone call with them, and they were in the middle of their field season, which is like 6 months. So these people are there, these scientists are there for like 6 months in the Amazon. They don't go home. Their field station is, in 2018, it was basically abandoned military barracks they converted into a place with beds. So that's essentially this place. It's called Los Amigos Biological Station, and it's not okay. You mentioned that it's quite accessible for you. The Peruvian field station site where I was staying is not very accessible, and it's not really open to tourists. I think now they're trying to encourage tourists to go, but I would strongly advise against going recreationally, because I'm waiting to see if I still have developed a case of a flesh-eating virus. I can't give it to y'all, but I might. Yeah, I might. I don't even know. I'm just waiting. You have to wait, because this may be a little bit, well, and I don't want to generalize also, but from my experience, I don't think in this room, but a lot of modern humans who live in cities have a very warped idea about the natural world and the boundaries in which that humans interact with living environments. So they feel that they can walk in anywhere and it'll be fine. And the only deterrent seems to be large carnivores. Oh, there's a tiger there, I better don't. Oh, there's a snake. Oh my God. Like, people really have a warped idea about what is safe. And it is these microparasites that will end your life. They will affect you forever. And like maybe in the field season, like the whole team, maybe like out of 60 of us, maybe 20 will be affected. So it's high numbers lah. There's no antidote. There's no there's medicine that you can take for some of the viruses you can pick up, but a lot of it is unknown because, like Adrian was saying, these places are very, very understudied. So understudied that a person like me is able to contribute to the teams just by taking pictures and just from observational, data.
So how do you plan for like what to bring?
Well, okay, I'm the worst person to ask because I don't do malaria pills.
So your wife does the packing. Oh, okay.
I don't do malaria pills. I don't do mosquito repellent.
Quarantine on the way back.
Yeah.
It's not vaccine.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't.
For
No.
COVID, for everything else.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm not an anti-vaxxer, but I didn't get my yellow fever jab. I didn't get it the first time.
Okay. Yeah.
I didn't know. The first time I went, it didn't stop me, what?
Yeah.
So when I came back, Mr. Peters,
You did
please
not.
go this way. But they let me get Burger King before they escorted me to the facility, which was
important.
nice, man. I mean, but they were very nice about it, and I was okay because it's fair, what? I didn't know, they told me nicely, so I just went 7 days to,
Holiday.
yeah. But anyway, so they contacted me, I went, and then I fit right in with them because they're also nuts. Then, and the thing is, these people are doing surveys on bats, birds, small mammals, primates, medium mammals, and previously herbs as well, like reptiles, and birds also. So it's serious. They often have like maybe like 30 scientists at a time making up these different groups, and they shuffle. So my job is to follow every single group over like, you know, how many months I'm there, to hang out with them and be exposed to whatever they also are exposed to. But the Americans who are running the thing take it extremely seriously. The PPE is 100% legit. So especially when you're dealing with primates, if you're in basically they set up like a medical tent inside the Amazon rainforest, and then they are trapping and then sampling data, hair samples, everything, and then they'll release them. And they have like wildlife vets inside the tent. It's a very serious. It's essentially like a trauma room, and yeah, because
Like quarantine kind of thing.
not a quarantine, but it's like an operating theater for animals. And if you have the larger mammals, if they wake up, if it's like an ocelot, which even though it's like a small, considered like a small cat, if that cat wakes up, that tent is it's gonna be an interesting evening inside the tent. Yeah, so
So how do you prepare for like something like that? Because did you have experience working with that? Huh? Oh, you write a will. I see. Okay, good one. Which lawyer?
no experience, but I mean, it's a dream for me to work on these projects, so I'm extremely excited to work on field research. So I treated myself like a research assistant, the worst one, but I just, and then once the scientists realized like, hey, he's not this like enemy, he's kind of crazy like us, it became like you take part in the processing of the animals. So bats and all, like, because I could go on and on because it takes many hours to explain the different kind of processes, but I'm there for each team over like 2 months. So you end up doing it because sometimes there's no one else to do it. For example, this time I got to have a room. So I had a roommate, which was this very handsome Italian guy, young guy, Chris. He's kind of a lunatic, but he was the mammal coordinator. That guy was there for like since April, and I got there in like July. He's been in the Amazon. He hasn't gone home. He's just there alone, hanging out. Like as the interns come and go, he's just there. So he's like shredded because you're not eating much. He's like 0% body fat already. I lost like 7 kilos in like 7 weeks.
So did you have to track like everywhere
Everything,
that you
yeah, ravines, everything, you're carrying stuff. So, for example, we have to bait the traps. So for the mammals, there's like a inside, they've converted this biological field station into like a research facility. So there's like a fridge with just chopped up animal parts and like blood and liver. And then every single night, we have to go and bait the traps. And it's like 45 minutes walk to the closest trap, 45 minutes walk back. But the sun sets at 5:30 p.m. So it's pitch dark. And you're alone most of the time. So the new kids who come don't know the trails. I've been there 2 times, so I already you learn how to read the jungle, so you become familiar with the trails. So he's like, hey man, can you help me? Like bait the trap, because every night, man, he's going out there and baiting, and he's got other things to do. So I'm like, okay. So I have to cut to me like headlamp, bucket of blood, walking into the darkness, wondering like, this jaguar. Tonight's the night, baby. But no, that's the kind of work that, I mean, especially like Adrian and Daphne and Wilma, they all know like I'm obsessed with the felids. So my work kind of blends into like especially tigers. So any chance to have a prolonged exposure to a big cat ecosystem, I'm there. So I'm quite familiar with how they move in environment, how I should move. So I was not too worried about jaguars. I'm more concerned about other things.
Mosquitoes?
Yes, yellow fever is pretty big, and especially because the Peruvian Amazon basin where I was, in 2018, it seemed immaculate. When I flew over this time, there was serious deforestation. Serious. The mini deserts. Yeah, mining has gotten incredibly terrifying. You'll be walking and suddenly you hear like a TNT explosion, and it's moved the animals that have been completely invisible into our area where the scientists are working. So seeing things that you're not supposed to see, like ended up seeing this animal like that showed up in the camera trap called a short-eared dog, and I think that may be like the highest resolution footage of this animal in the world, maybe. Because they don't even know what it is. It's in a genus or subfamily on its own. It's like a cheetah, where like, they're in this family on its own. There's only one extant member of this. And they don't even know if it's a wolf or a fox, or it's kind of both. But they don't really know what this animal is. So physically seeing them is very strange because you're like, wow, I mean, when I first came in 2018, it was like, that was the rarest mammal. Like, you're never going to see one, ever. No one has ever seen one. I saw one like 5 times. It's because they're losing their territory, and they're solitary canids. I believe the only solitary canid on Earth. Because dogs are like primates, family, right? That's why we love dogs. Dogs love us. It's the same
Pack mentality.
pack mentality. When the dog looks at you, it's like, Mom, Dad, you're gonna take care of me? That's the dog's thinking. And that's why primates are also like family groups. Dogs, canids, primates get along very well. It's interesting to see a solitary canid. It's very strange when you see it. It's just like, it doesn't really behave like a dog because its instinct is just to disappear. Much more like a cat. Sorry, I was rambling.
No,
You wanna see some
this is
pictures?
good. Oh yeah, okay, we can see some pictures and then you can tell us a little bit more about it.
Do you want to switch off this light? I don't know.
Oh yeah, I can. So otherwise it's so bright.
No, this
You
is
guys see?
2018. This is this year from a drone. But if I pan the camera the other way, the forest is damaged, badly damaged.
Actually, can I just ask, like, when you guys were there, did you guys witness any illegal?
Oh yeah, man.
Oh, a lot of it.
Prostitute boats.
Oh, but then what do you do when you
What do you
like?
do?
Yeah,
Did you say prostitute boats?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
prostitute boats?
Yeah.
Checking I heard correctly.
Ah,
I remember when I first.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Do you want to say something?
No, you go first.
Sorry, man.
okay, hold on.
Oh.
Yeah, you heard it fire.
When so
Okay, someone needs you to explain what that.
okay, so like
Started it, brother.
Yeah. Now this conversation won't
so
You're even stranger than Adrian Lu, which is
all strange.
this is just one small story,
And
bro.
we're in strangers' lounge.
Okay, everybody get comfortable.
Mining is huge, right? So, Adrian, when you went to your spot, how did you go?
Yeah, so this guy lost weight, right? I probably put on about a kilo plus. Yeah, so, but there was illegal logging. I told you about the drone, right? But later on, so we were very well protected, and the reason why it was because there was this announcement in the news about a $10 million prize. So they had to protect the whole thing because they people were spreading rumors that there was this $10 million thing hanging around there. Something like that, But there was that drone, and then the commandos actually acted on it. They dismantled the whole operation. Yeah, so there is a lot of illegal logging happening in the Amazon. Yeah.
Yeah, my
Don't try to evade that story. You got to tell it now. Yeah, you said it. Yeah.
my side, because it's up to me to figure out. That organization is a non-profit. They're still finding funding. So even this year when I went, I was compensated in some way, and I was there also to teach 2 students. But in order to get to the fuel station, I was on my own, man. So you don't really go there's no tour guide. You fly to Lima, you get to Lima, the capital of Peru, and then you have to book your own flight to Puerto Maldonado, this small town. But that town, it's like just miners. It's like a kampong. It's really like just the local people, man. There's no McDonald's. There's no McDonald's there. Just people who don't speak English. They all speak Spanish, and they thought I was Colombian. I don't know. So they were like speaking to me in Spanish. I can't speak. I'm Singaporean, right? So my second language is Malay. So I was just yes, and saying the kind of Spanish words I would pick up from watching like American television, and then furiously Googling when I had some sort of signal. So I had to get a car to drive me an hour to another smaller town, get on a boat with just miners and the mining equipment. They even put a motorcycle on the front of the boat, and it nearly capsized, and then drove through the Amazon 4 or 5 hours, and I was the last person in the boat, and the boat drivers are speaking to me in Spanish, asking me like, "Is this the place?" And I'm like, I don't know, man. I'm like thinking like, okay, I guess this is the part I die. So that happens a lot in my work. But then, so it's that kind of situation where accessing it is yeah. So it's not very accessible, and eventually you get to this place, lah. Yeah.
What's that legal part? We're still missing
Oh,
the
sorry.
legal part.
Oh yeah, sorry. Then yeah, so all these miners are going through, right? So the miners will be going back and forth. So the illegal activity is built around these miners traveling up and down, up and down. So there'll be drug boats, prostitute boats, just a boat with chicks driving, and they'll pass by boat and speak in Spanish, and then a woman will cross over. And I remember asking the scientists, I was like, "Are we gonna report this to the police?" And they laughed at me, and they're like, "What police?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, like, my perception is warped because I'm a Singaporean, right? I think like I can complain or run away to the government, like, hey, help, oh, no one." And I remember them telling me like, if something goes wrong, the police don't come, but the Navy show up, and then they arrest people, take them off like the illegal mining site, and use like bombs to blow up the spot. Yeah, so I mean it's not a tourist place, I would say. It's yeah. So it's that kind of stuff that goes on around this haven of biodiversity, similar to Malaysia. It is similar, like the poaching situation. Like I always say, like the Amazon and the Malaysian ecosystem is sort of like a mirror. You have like jaguar, tiger, puma, leopard, ocelot, clouded leopard. It goes on and on. 2 places that they have tapirs. They just don't have elephants over there. Reticulated python, anaconda. I don't know if this is a kind of example of convergent evolution-ish. But that's why you're talking about the pink dolphin. I mean, they're probably eating something in the river that is turning their skin.
But also in some parts of Malaysia, there's mining.
Yeah, exactly.
They're putting cyanide in the water
Yeah,
and stuff like
sure.
that.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Yeah, so you go there, rafting or whatever, and people get sick.
I work on.
Fall in the river and you get sick.
I follow the anti-poaching units inside Malaysia, so I've seen quite a few things, and it's even more grim maybe than what I've seen in the Peruvian Amazon side.
They have the laws anti-logging.
Yeah.
But you're going down the river and people are cutting down. You see the trees falling right by the river.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's this one thing about cats also, and Vilma from Swag, she can confirm this also. When tigers, leopards, jaguars, if you strip the muscle and skin away, the skeleton essentially is the same. So the illegal wildlife trade has diverted their attention to South America. Because they can kill jaguars and say it's tigers, no one will know. So that's, and now the logging and drilling for stuff from China is there. And a lot of this is happening also. And I've heard that from the native people. Anyway, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I saw a different side. I saw the nice kampong side of Brazil, and it was really nice to see the villagers there. They were really, in a way, living a very nice, idyllic life. Obviously, there are struggles and all that, but you know, the houses reminded me of a kampong, and some of them were on stilts, and they depended on the fruit trees that they grew as well. So and the food they ate also, it was very communal, you know, like they had this big fish, and then they had the beans and all that, and everybody just go and scoop, and then you just have conversations, and then at night, we play the guitar and everybody be singing. It's like, wow, this is really great, and the air was so fresh, as well, and the stars were there. Yeah, so I saw a very nice side of that life, and it really felt like you are in a kampong in Southeast Asia. Yeah.
Is that why you were tuning the guitar?
Yeah, but the guitar seems to be spoiled.
Actually, do you guys have any questions from the floor? I'm sure there must be. Just feel free to ask, but otherwise I'm going to scroll through the photos. Any questions? Let me shine. I think that, there were some people that, sent in questions. Would you ask some?
So, sorry, I just want to add something, right? Like, all this illegal wildlife thing, right? And I used to be in the national parks, working on CITES and all that, and I get, I'm exposed to like illegal wildlife trade around the world, and in Southeast Asia as well. One thing we forget, right? And we always think that these guys are the bad guys, but sometimes, right? Some of these people are poaching a pangolin or a bird, right? Maybe to put food on the table, and to provide for their families. So it's like, we really need to think about like, what are alternative livelihoods? How do we support the local communities? Rather than point a finger and say these are bad people, because I don't think inherently they're bad. So I just wanted to balance that kind of thoughts.
100% agree. Yeah. If I phrase it in a certain way, I didn't mean it.
No. I mean, it's still bad, There is, it's really like at certain levels, right? It's very sinister, and there are syndicates, and it's always commingled with illegal wildlife trade and other things, human trafficking, and all that. Yeah, because the network is almost the same network they're using. Yeah.
If I'm not wrong, I'm not sure, please correct me, but I heard that in certain areas there are people who, for example, like owe a lot of money like that, and to pay it off, you would have to work for the illegal mining or logging companies to kind of pay it off. So like you're forced to hunt, like do the illegal wildlife, just so that they can pay off their.
I think that's situational.
Oh.
No, that's too broad. So yeah, for a whole bunch of reasons in Malaysia, most of the time they pick up signs that the poaching team is usually a 2-person team, 2 men usually, because if you see the instant noodle packets, it's from like Cambodia or Thailand, and it lets you know like these people hiked from the Thailand border through this like very, very harsh jungle. They don't want to be there too, man. It's not a fun experience, and Adrian's 100% right. They're not like cartoon characters where like they've just been either following in the family footsteps of people who have been doing this for hundreds of years, or they just are so disenfranchised and they got no choice.
Yeah, and there are, if I'm not wrong, there are Rohingyas that are, like work on fishing boats as well, illegal fishing boats that are fishing off, jurisdictions, seas, and it's like a modern day slavery. They are treated very badly and all that, and they are just fishing.
But this kind of behavior goes through a lot of different things. I mean, you look at Yin, the tea from China. They basically use a model similar to 3M in the old days when they did mining in very remote places. So the families are living in the factory and they're getting the kids to sort the leaves because the children's hands are more sensitive. So that's why Yin is very highly priced tea, because it's well sorted. And then the whole family lives there, but they pay back rent and food to the company. So the company pays them into a bank account that is controlled by the company. So the company technically pays them, but it still retains the money that they invest, and then they have to pay back the company for their lodging and their food and the children's education, and basically at the end of the day they have got nothing left. Same thing with bricks made in Bangladesh. I mean, same kind of indentured system that they have there. So this is the world we live in, man.
I wanted to ask, is there any poaching in Singapore? Is it?
Yeah, so recently, right, there was this, definitely it happens, recently, right, surprisingly, right, some birds were found glued to a tree in, yeah, it's like crazy, right? And during my time in M Parks also, we caught people poaching birds. Yeah, and illegal wildlife trade is everywhere. And it's like, you got to run as fast as possible to stay in the same place kind of thing. You always have to be vigilant. You don't know what's happening. Like, if you go on Telegram or you go on, especially Telegram, and you see people advertising on exotic animals, and younger people are buying illegal stuff like tarantulas and all that stuff, snakes, yeah. And they, I don't know whether COVID sort of like, enhanced it, or like triggered it, and people wanted more pets and more exotic pets like, tarantulas, bearded dragons, and all that stuff. But it's happening, right? The social media or the web has become a new marketplace as well. And I was like, so surprised, it's no longer your ivory, your pangolin scales and all that, it's like, it just grows into another form. It's like the hydra like that, this illegal wildlife trade. And people don't know the impact it has on ecosystems, like, where do these animals come from, right? They come from the wild. Most of them are not like bred or anything like that. Yeah, so, yeah.
Anyway, you want to see some happy pictures and stuff? Okay, cool. First game. Okay, these are the crazy people who are doing like that. Oh, yeah.
Can I just add something? Because when we were talking about
Yeah.
this, I remember I have a friend.
Yep.
So we grew up together in Singapore, but she's an Indonesian, so she's moved back. And they have this culture of collecting exotic animals. It's like among the common people of the richer Indonesians. And even though she's educated in Singapore and then she subsequently went to Sydney, she still thinks that it's okay to let her like young child collect these exotic animals. Yeah, so sometimes it's difficult for me to have a conversation with her because
Oh, okay.
on one hand she's a friend, and then on the other, like, who used to think this way, Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's cultural.
Yeah.
So it's not just like a small group of people doing that, I think it's cultural.
So I believe, right, we can make that change, I'm just going to go about what we go trade for a while. Yeah, like, so in our jobs, right, we had to catch people, we have to put them to jail, we had to fine them and all that, right? That was like really enforcement. That's great, right? You know what I mean? Like governance, and you have teeth and all that, right? But it also led me to think about what I said just now. Like, some of these people that are smuggling things across the borders and all that, right? They might be doing it for a certain need, because they're desperate for money. They need to supplement their income and all that, right? So doing that, right, isn't like, it's a very downstream thing already, but upstream, right, what can you do? Like, I remember, like, for a while there, Singaporeans were, had shark's fins on their dinner. I'm sorry, I have to admit, like, my wedding dinner a long time ago, had shark's fin also. But after a while, right, through education and through change, right, cultural change, right, that change, right, it's no longer kosher to have it, right? And it takes about 10-15 years, and that's why, like, people like Jolene there and Yong Jen there, right, were part of that youth thing that I was involved in, where we said that, okay, we better start at their age, right, and then start to spread the thing now. And then suddenly, right, there's this whole layer of cultural change, cultural shift that actually shows that this is not right. There's more awareness that's done. And I think that will be one of the upstream measures we can do, just educate the next generation. But I don't think we talk about it enough. I don't think we talk about, like, some of these cases are like, not really surfaced, I feel. and we don't talk about illegal wildlife trade, we don't talk about poaching in the jungles and all that. You don't hear that, right, very often, unless you come for a talk like that, and then he starts on it, and and then we get into a conversation, right? But what do you do? What do you do as interested people that can play a part? You know, do you spread the word? Do you take part in like
Catwalks.
yeah,
Vilma.
yeah. So Vilma like has a very interesting catwalk, right? She's part of SWAG, and they conduct walks, right, in
Vilma's
Malaysia.
at the back.
Yeah, Vilma.
Wave.
She's like
Catwoman.
she's a hero lah in you know in Singapore's conservation scene, and she started when she retired, you know, as an associate professor, right, in NIE, and then she started this thing, and she's bringing people on walks, right, where people usually poach tigers, you know, yeah, and it's public walks, you know, and that's amazing, right, you know, and then the Prince of Pahang is involved, you know, the government is involved, and that's the best way to start something, you know, because like you involve like from the grounds up, right, and then people politically people see that hey, it's a viable thing, you know, and then everybody starts to get in on it. It's genius, you know. It's genius, you know. You don't go out and like shoot poachers,
Yes.
you educate everybody. Yeah.
Okay. Moses.
Yeah.
Nice pictures.
Yeah.
These are the
Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, thank you very much. This is a bat survey. If you want to speed through this, we can. These are they set up these mist nets to gently catch these bats. They're nuts. This guy has. Thank you. Yeah. He's taken so many anti-rabies shots that if he takes any more, he's gonna become paralyzed. But because that's a side effect of taking too much, he's still going though. He's in Mexico now. Juan. He's a kid. He's nuts. Anyway, next one, please. Yeah, that's this guy also is a lunatic. This is my friend. He was the heartthrob of the field season. This guy. You can't tell from the mask all, but he's a very good-looking dude. He's doing small mammals, so every time he's waiting to see if the rat he's working on and caught is going to die. Because you got to put the rat under, you know. So it's very tricky when you sedate a small animal. They die very easily. But so far in the field season I was part of, no deaths.
Of rats.
Yep. This is a Xiao people who go like that lead is the lead primate lady. A lot of women, and she's carrying the heaviest bag. She's like maybe about this tall. She's a lecturer in Canada, but she's a German nationality, and she leads the primate team every morning about 4 a.m., 3 a.m. in the morning. They'll set out into the forest, and the girl behind her, Maddie, is like 17 years old. No guns, no nothing, Jaguar territory, here we go. Next, please. Set up some medical tent, and then this is them doing their thing, they're processing. Inside that bag is a emperor tamarin. They're gonna weigh him, they're gonna do all the processing and stuff. I hate those little...
Really?
Yeah, man.
They look so cute.
No, I can't stand them. It's just because, I won't hurt them, but it's just because they're so irritating to film. Anyway, next one please. Yeah, that's them processing. That's Alice, and yeah, that's the other scientist. And so please go on. Yeah, and this is like just the care that these people take. It's extremely serious. If you mess around, you're gonna get it. And because they truly care, and I've seen them break down and cry just over how much they're worried about the trends they're seeing all these animals and this processing of like ocelot. Yeah, it's incredible to get close to these animals and see them, smell them even. It's very interesting. So. Yeah, this is Indiana. She's also a lead vet, and I spent like 2 weeks with her. She's amazing. She's Argentinian, and she's basically listening for the heartbeat while the animals are sedated. This is them processing also a night monkey, I think, another weird primate that just evolved in that part of the world. I don't get it. These are my two students, Georgia and Andrea. Thank you. And Peruvian girl and a girl from New York, and they got to hang out with me for like 2 months, and they were teaching me honestly more than I was teaching them, and it was really cool. And that's me. I'm seriously kitted up because of the leishmaniasis. It's just the flesh-eating virus is very prevalent. Yeah, anyone can get it lah. So I just try and cover up as much as you can, but you never know lah.
Is it from the soil?
No, it's from this parasite. Latches itself onto the hairs on the legs of a mosquito. Then when the mosquito bites you, it climbs inside the wound, the micro wound the mosquito creates. and it can stay dormant for like a year. So you don't know.
So it's not necrotizing fish like this.
No, it is to a certain extent, but there's other complications depending on the 3 different sort of varieties you get. But you'll know lah. You should know within the first few months, because the wound won't close, and you'll develop other problems. You can't walk and all this stuff. Oh, this is I had to carry like a peccary. I don't know if you can see. It's like a pig lah. It's a pig. It's a pig that got basically someone also another to.
Oh, I thought it was Adrian.
To basically when they picked me up from the airport, they had this thing in the back of the car. I didn't know, and then I thought it was something else, and it just said, wah, wah. And I was like, hey, is that the vehicle? And then turns out they had to seize this peccary from a family that was keeping it as a pet.
Oh no.
So they were like, you can't keep a white-lipped peccary as a pet, please give it over to us. And then they had to bring it to the rehab facility. So we were transporting it. And then when we got into the forest, we had to carry it for an hour in the dark. This screaming pig. And I'm just like, any moment now, Panther, Jaguar is just gonna be like, I'm so hungry, man. Let's just do this. Anyway, next one, please. It's like an Amazon sunrise, whatever. Yeah, next one, please. Same thing. Just you see a lot of this is quite dangerous when you're driving there because a lot of.
You're trying to encourage us to go or to dissuade us from.
So I don't know if you caught the gist of my talk. I would not recommend anyone going to these places. Like maybe towards like the Brazil side is okay, but the fuel station in Peru, maybe not the place to go. Maybe other places you can go for like bird tours on like Tambopata side. This is like the Madre de Dios. It's another river, and yeah, it's pretty wild. Any next one?
So I was going in shorts and sandals, and I sometimes swam in the Rio Negro.
With the caimans?
Yeah, the caimans lah.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, come on, man. Okay, next one, please. Just Amazon. This goddamn stupid. Okay. Yeah, they're a nightmare, man. These things to photograph because they move so fast and they speak like birds. So they don't sound like primates. They sound like birds. When you walk in the forest and you hear like, and then you're like, everyone freeze, and then they'll move in a group and they'll look. They'll stare at you and they'll move like lightning. But the interesting part is, I mean, all jokes aside, these primates are extremely kind in nature because if they see any lost members from another group, it's instantly they will adopt them. Instantly. Just like if they see another of their kind, they're like, oh, you're lost. Come on, man. Come on. It's going to be okay. So, yeah. Hate them. There's the other species of tamarin saddleback. These are quite cute. They're not bad.
So this one okay?
This one's okay. Yeah. I like the muzzle. They got like white muzzle. Yeah. Another animal I hate. It's like a giant rodent. I don't understand why people are really into this animal. I think it's just a giant walking buffet I understand its purpose in the circle of life, but I can't stand them. So that's a little bird friend also on the left. Symbiotic relationship, I don't know. Y'all can,
Everyone likes the capybara.
I can't stand them, honestly. This is one of my favorites.
What?
Yeah, this is like it's a hot sand. Yeah, you saw lots of them.
Very primitive.
A very primitive bird. One of my favorites because the hatchlings actually have vestigial claws, reminiscent of the non-avian dinosaurs. So incredibly ancient bird. Yeah, and they smell like a dead body. So yeah. Okay, so I photographed this like blonde caiman. Apparently now that I've been there twice, I didn't see another one. So apparently this variety is not that common. Cute though.
The eyes are cute. Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, capybara, right? Tapir, right? Yeah. So this is interesting because a lot of these animals have never come into contact with humans. So tapirs are extremely shy. I know that from working in Malaysia, and you never see them. So it's interesting to see a tapir just hanging out. Yeah, tapir. Another weird mammal that I can't believe I saw in real life. Tamandur, I think that's what they call it. It's this weird. I think it's like a marsupial. Yeah, it's an anteater basically. This is the only time I've seen a very old jaguar. This is in the rehab center, and a very old female. When I first met her, she tried to get me through her little. I wouldn't say it's a cage. Like, honestly, because these people are rehabbing them, so they build like a temporary fence around the forest area. So wild male jaguars, will come to her and at night and just hang out and they'll talk in their own ways.
Hang out and talk.
The non-verbal communication, the camera traps will pick up signs. They're speaking their own language that we don't understand, but they are hanging out. They'll come and check on each other, see what's up. So there was a very large male named Hector. The scientists nicknamed him Hector, and he would basically come into this territory where the recovering jaguars and check on all his ladies, and it was very interesting. Yeah. So she was a very, very old jaguar, which is you probably won't see in the wild. Oh, and they had a puma, which one of the cats that you would see interacting with humans quite often, just because among the larger felids, they are quite openly curious. So they will stalk humans, but I wouldn't say it's essentially stalking. It's just they don't mind to be seen sometimes, and they like to test boundaries. Some animals do, and they're not shy about it. It freaks people out because they move silently, and then you turn around and suddenly you'll see something like moving with you, but after that they'll just usually leave you alone. Oh yeah, this is a camera trap, and it's a tyra. That's what they call it. I think there's a Malaysian counterpart. Not civet. There's begins with an M. It's like I forget that. But basically, it's essentially the exact same Malaysian counterpart to this animal. It's like a large ferret, like a large weasel. So it's about maybe like this big with his tail. Yeah. Anyway, yep. So this is like a still of a short-haired dog. There's that very rare canid. They're really cute, actually. They kind of look like a bear, like their face, to me. They're very shy. They have this behavior where they'll always look over their shoulder. We notice that as we're releasing them. They always run, then they'll stop, and then they'll, Very cute.
I think that's the last of the photos.
Thank God.
I think someone had a question about how you transition, because you obviously didn't used to do photography.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yes, you didn't.
Yeah, I didn't. I was terrible at school. I was really I was in deep trouble. I love my best friends, but a lot of them went to jail. I was definitely going to head to jail as well. I was just after the army, 19, 20 years old. Got out. My uncle got me a job at a shipyard as like a general worker, essentially like a laborer. So making cement, all this stuff, and the people were nice, but they were a bit rough around the edges. I did that for about 2 years, just straight up abusing alcohol every day, because I figured I'm screwed, man. I'm cleaning sanitation tanks, and this is my life. All the teachers were so kind. They tried to get me to study. I couldn't figure it out, and they were like, "If you don't figure this out, you are screwed, man." And I was like, no. And then when I was shoveling shit, I realized, oh yeah, they were just trying to help me, man. I just couldn't. I was just couldn't figure it out.
That's not a metaphor.
Yeah.
Okay.
And after that, I basically left my job at the shipyard. I applied for like a PA job. My parents at the time were like, this guy is screwed already. Like they didn't really like, what worse could he become, right? So I was like, I quit my job, and they're like, whatever. So I basically begged to get a start at a production house. They were so kind to give me a chance, because the lady was my neighbor, because she saw my fake CV. Then she was like, hey boy, I'm your neighbor. You're a bit old, and this job is not for men. It's usually more for girls in poly. Yeah, not like 17, not 23-year-old brown dudes who are desperate to get out of their job. So she gave me a chance, and that was it. I just work, and people like Greg, this is my friend Greg Somerville, and he gave me a shot. He taught me also. I met very kind people, and they helped me, and I just slowly built from there, and I got very lucky and got to work with like Nat Geo and BBC and all this stuff, and then essentially I was doing all the stuff that I like, and I just wanted to pursue this wildlife thing. most of it, like volunteering to go inside Malaysia and document and stuff, I'm not getting paid for that. I don't care. Like, I mean, to me, it's just, this is a second chance for me to educate myself, to turn my life around, and it's led me to meet my wonderful wife, to meet people like Adrian and Daphne and Vilma, and I can hang out with them and meet you guys too. And I just, it's like a second chance for me. So now, I just turned 40, so, you know, we do photography work, but also wildlife conservation and advocacy and education is a big part of my life. I hope that it continues. And that's basically it. And if anyone needs any help trying to do photos or anything, if there's anything that you think I can help you with, just reach out, man. I'm happy to try and connect you guys. If there's anything I can do, please, yeah, then that's it, yeah.
Great, thanks. I think that there is just time for one more question, which was asked by someone in the audience. How can we, I think, and it's for both of you, how can we make wildlife protection a profitable option? I think this is actually from Kelvin. I really like this question because, you know, I think more often than not, I think wildlife protection or conservation work is always deemed to be, oh yeah, it has to be, oh, it's done by conservation organizations, but how do they do it? How do you make it profitable? I mean, it has to be a sustainable solution, right? What are your thoughts on that? I mean, no right or wrong answers.
Yeah, I'll just start first. I've been in touch with like people in Indonesia, and you know, in Indonesia there's a culture of poaching birds, right, and keeping birds, and there are some NGOs now that will work, and they are local NGOs, you know, not only Western NGOs, there are local NGOs also that will work with the villagers there, who used to poach, and they are converting them into different livelihoods, into ecotourism, and some of these poachers, former poachers, become bird guides. And it was quite interesting because someone was relating to me, and this was an NGO in Planet Indonesia, and this guy was like, he wanted to do his PhD, but he ended up starting an NGO. And the first guy he met, right, wanted to kill him because he was a poacher. The guy was a poacher. But after working the ground for many years, this guy became his friend, his very good friend, and he became a bird guide. And not only that, right, he helped to protect the hornbills, the very birds that he was poaching, right, he now protected. And it was very easy, not say easy, but it was like, that switch, right, was, you know, like beyond our understanding. But then suddenly from poaching, right, and I guess they loved the birds, maybe, you know, that's why they were poaching. They understood the biology of the birds. But after that, right, they appreciated that these birds, right, could actually become part of their livelihoods if they protected the birds. So I don't think there's a very straight answer to this. If there was a straight answer, right, you know, all these things would stop. But I think it requires our conscious effort, a collective effort, collective awareness, and focus, you know. Like again, I'll just draw to what Vilma is doing with swag as well, bringing people out, and really, it just started. And then I remember those trips, right, were few at first, then they became popular, then it became a big movement, you know, and everybody knows swag already. So it really, like, anyone can start anything, and I think if you just consciously do it, right, it will just pick up, you know, it will just pick up. Yeah, so really kudos to swag. I'm glad that this talk, the proceeds will go to swag as well. Yeah.
Swag,
So yeah, volunteer, yeah, you know. Vilma is there. Yeah.
So we're raising
Is she buying the beer then?
No, we just said wildlife conservation need money, but Ryan late, so he'll buy beer.
Yeah.
Okay, brother, over to you. Yeah.
Over to you.
Yeah, man. Okay, I'll try and keep this really short. So I think, number one, there should be a compulsory, like, climate studies that's implemented for primary school level. You can't be like adults and find out how in trouble the world is. It's a bit, then all those other problems about culture and this and that, it's already too late. These children need to understand what is going on. like in the world right now, and waiting until you are like in your 20s to find out how severe the problem is, it becomes, then there's so many conflicts because yeah, it's like your upbringing and all this stuff. So I believe they must start in schools, all schools. I know it sounds radical, but that's how I feel because it is a very big problem. Another thing is the growing disconnection between us and the natural world. We're all born into the momentum that the past members of our species have created. It's not your fault, man. It's not. It's just the direction. It's the nature of the humans because we are so much more adaptable than these other animals. And it's made us kind of like look at them like, you're useless because you can't adapt like us. It's like our superpower. It's like intelligence and it's adaptability. It's one of the reasons why we seem like, we have genetic like specialities that other animals don't. Like if you look at tigers, they sweat only from like, I believe just from their mouth. Like a lot of these animals, but we have like pores all over our body. We're like suited for a warming planet. So like, we have all these things and we don't discuss them, we don't understand them. I feel it's address this growing disconnection by having some sort of like studies, so at least people are exposed to this when they're young, and then they can decide on what vocation they want to pursue. And when they go into their adult phase and people bring up stuff like this, they don't feel like it's a special interest. It's our interest because this is our planet. So, and we only got each other. And one last thing, please, this is one thing, I forced Adrian to read something that I wrote. And one of the things was every animal that comes into contact with the humans, we define the parameters of existence for all these animals. We set where they can come, they don't do that to us, but we do that to them. And we have the power, and we are not even able to perceive this power. So it's something that we inherited, and I think by having these talks and exploring it on your own, more people will get involved, and then the government will start to see how important this is, and then they got tons of stuff to do with it, but this is crucial. So yeah, that's all.
If I may add, I think in this room, there's a lot of us who are actually monetizing sustainability, eco awareness, biophilia. Adrian, as an example, is in academia. He teaches. He's earning a good living out of it. Vilmos has swag. Some of us, you're starting your tours and sort of trips, but a lot of us talk or do in our separate silos. And this also goes into academia. We're facing this now in Curtin, and we're looking at this solution. But I think forums like these are really important because it brings not only people from different backgrounds, but also in different phases of our development in terms of doing something for climate, for sustainability, for nature. So dimensionally, we are very different. And it's by meeting as regularly as possible that we get to know one another. We need to become friends with as many people as we can. And for the younger ones, I would say, I've been doing this for 20 years now, our business. It's pretty darn good. And Adrian's also made a heck of a good living out of what he's doing. So it is definitely possible. The best part for us is we have a passion that is beyond understanding. Nobody else can appreciate the kind of passion people like us have. So this really can drive our success in that sort of monetary terms, if you wanted to.
Thanks for sharing.
Sorry, can I just add real quick?
Yeah.
When you're talking about education, which I have spent many years in, there's a phenomenon now called climate anxiety that is coming up with the younger generation because they're knowing too early how devastating things are. So yes, they need to learn, but pair it with solution, problem solving, and positivity. But with the younger generation, so there's something called forest schools. It's huge in the preschool scene at the moment, and the
all about exposure to nature, interacting with it, appreciation for it, finding creativity within it. And it's a really good introduction to loving the outdoors, learning how to navigate the outdoors in Singapore style. But my friend, she runs 100 paths. She does pull out ribbon drop off for like 4 to 8-year-olds. So they're really young. They're bringing them out there. They're teaching them how to interact and stuff. So if you guys have nieces, nephews, whatever, and you want to explore that angle, go ahead. But yeah, Forest School is a nice angle. It's UK based. It's also Scandinavian based, where you're outdoors all day, you learn in nature, and now it's coming to Singapore. So in case you guys want to have a look at that.
I want the MOE to get involved. I mean, it's fine to, like, stuff like that is good. It's fantastic, but specific to the regions. So
They're not there yet.
yeah, exactly.
So
That's the whole point.
Actually, originally when they started on Pulau Ubin, at one point we were doing a lot of school camps where it was independent operators, and then we were having our own. We call ours the Blue Planet program, right? But then they've consolidated it into under NYC into Outward Bound Singapore, and then it's become very prescriptive now, and it's more on the resilience. Everybody rah rah row the boat, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I think it's the path upwards is not a straight
Yeah.
path. It's sort of it's up and down. And I mean I've been doing this for 40 years now, so professionally, and we've seen the ups, we've seen the downs. But slowly it's going upwards. Yeah, we need more Adrian Lus.
Yeah, thanks, Colin. Yeah, Colin's my good buddy. Yeah. I want to also highlight, right, that it's just not about science as well. There's media, right, and then he's wonderful. All these pictures are so moving, and his stories are so moving. And then there's like I want to shout out to Daphne because like she started like Earth in Focus. It was the revival of the Earth Film Festival, and I believe like moving images, right, and music and all that, right, and culture, right, arts and culture can really play a bigger role, right, than even science, communication in conservation. Because right now it's like it's like I don't think people can absorb the science and understand and then say, okay, yeah, this is very important, Then I want to shout out to Jolene also. Jolene drew us the straw-headed boo-boo and the white ram shama, right? I remember I don't think we credited her enough, and and I always told her that, oh my God, your drawing of the straw-headed boo-boo, go and look it up, maybe you want to share it. And it's really like it felt like an oil painting. It felt like a very deep interpretation of the straw-headed boo-boo. I don't know, maybe you want to. Can you tell me what was going on in your head when you're painting the straw? Anyway, we use this, right, to actually bring the straw-headed boo-boo, right, to CITES 1. That means like there's no more trade in straw-headed boo-boo, and she was part of that as well. Yeah.
I'm waiting for her to WhatsApp me the straw-headed boo-boo.
Yeah, and then Yongjen also is part of our CITES Global Youth Network. Yongjen. And he worked in RWS, right, the aquarium, yeah, and he's been with us for about 2 years already, and every other night, right, he's meeting with like people from around the world, the youths who are working in this field as well, and it's a movement we sort of encouraged and supported. And I think one day it will go, because conservation is like planting a tree, right? You can plant a tree now, right? But then the benefits will only come like maybe 10 or 15 years later. So hopefully it's on you. and while Jolene sends us her beautiful drawing of straw, oh my God, the talent, right, is crazy.
Oh, so nice. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm not seeing what you're seeing.
I'm sorry.
Right now.
Yeah. And so we put the straw-headed boo-boo on tote bags, and it was very important in our outreach to during the
That's
CITES
amazing,
convention. Yeah, look at that.
That's incredible. Wow. That's amazing.
This straw-headed boo-boo, right, in the market, right, it can cost up to
So
40
nice.
to 80,000 US dollars. A good singing bird. Yeah. It's been poached almost to extinction in a lot of Southeast Asian countries. And guess where the stronghold is? Yeah, it's Singapore, right? Not only in Singapore's mainland, right, but in Pulau Ubin. Oh my God, you know, like, yeah. And this is the world's largest population in Pulau Ubin, yeah, for this bird, yeah.
Sorry, curious. Are they poaching here?
No, that's why there's a stronghold here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
have
yeah,
they
yeah.
decided, well, they got some must go and get them?
They're scared to come here, lah,
Yeah, no.
Okay.
for now.
For now, lah. But you never know. I can't
Yeah.
just say that it's not happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of good things have been happening.
Lol.
Small pot otters,
That bear or
hornbills, oriental pines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks, Jolene, for this wonderful picture.
Thanks, guys. I think we've come to the end and we've gone all the way up to 9 o'clock. But can I do one thing? Can I just get everyone to gather together so I can take a photo? I think this is the last conversation of the year. I'd like to thank all of you for coming in person. It's always very nice to see people instead of online. You know, I think it's nice to see you guys in person. You know, make some new friends. Find out how you can get into conservation. I think that's like the most important thing. Be it whether you're working in a bank, in IT, or anything that's not related, go make some friends in conservation and see what you can do. I think the first step is to volunteer your time. There are a lot of people representing different conservation organizations out here. Find a way to get involved, even if it's like doing cyber spotting online for an hour every day. That deters like certain illegal activity online. So that really helps. So, you know, find a way to get involved, and I think that would be a great start to your conservation journey. And of course, if you'd like to find out more, you can speak to any one of us here. The next thing that I need everyone to do is, if you move some chairs, just move them aside. And then I need everyone to clear the room and go down to Culp Yard for beers because we're all thirsty. So let's do that right after this. But yes, so now can I get everyone to like gather so that I can